Bitcoin is preparing a monster move, and you can be 7 years old, brain half dead, splash of autism, and you really don't need any indicators telling you this. You just watch price action and you know something big is coming. But I took the liberty of putting out some Bollinger Bands, put out some MACDs, some RSIs, and some stochastics. And because we are still in a bull market, please don't listen to the bears, they are stupid. But because we are still in a bull market, and I've explained why is that still on the table. If you don't know who I am, just go to my YouTube channel. This is my name, Cristian Chifoy, please, Chifoy, not Chifoy. I'm from Romania, so we are weird like that. I don't have many posts here, just see all the clips, binge watch them in a Saturday afternoon while you're drinking beer and barfing in the toilet, because what has to do, you know, if you are in crypto. But basically, if you remember what we've talked about in the last post here, the next big move, which is not on the 4-hour chart, let's clear all this stuff out. If you remember also the clips from April into May, I've been telling you all this way that some kind of correction should be upon us, basing wave 1, then a 2, and we should see how this is going to look like, because the next big pivot, in my opinion, is the start of September, something like the first week. Let's do the daily chart, and until then, we should have the prices for Bitcoin between 140 to 160, and then in this pivot, we should have a bigger drop into September end. But again, just watch the other clips to understand why I'm thinking this. And also from a seasonality standpoint, my guess is that most people see this as a local top, and maybe they're right. Maybe their bearish blood is dictating that maybe, just maybe, someday in the future, they would like to take it up the ass. But in my opinion, because the start of August last year meant a big drop from the 28th of July, and the boring summer and another drop with a higher low in September start. In my opinion, we should have the exact opposite in this seasonality window, meaning some weakness from August start, actually to start from August start, not weakness until then, in my opinion. And the start of September, again, should be the opposite of what we had last year, meaning a local top. And I will show you some different indicators indicating exactly that. So, going back to the Bollinger Bands, the simple Bollinger Bands, you can find it on TradingView in the indicator section. Let's go to the lower time frames where traders make their money. Just kidding, market makers make their money by baiting all the traders, creating a range, leaving liquidity to the upside and to the downside, and taking up all their money just like taking candy from a baby. That's why I do not trade, or should I say, I rarely trade with leverage, because you don't need leverage to make real money in this space. You just need to understand how Bitcoin moves. Again, how seasonality is happening. You have a clip here with Bitcoin seasonality explained. Some recession indicators, the real recession indicators, not the shitty one that everyone is using like SAM rule or unemployment rate or maybe inflation. So getting back to the Bollinger Bands, you can see that this constriction here is signaling a major breakout. Either it's to the downside or to the upside. Just like we had here, just like we had here, to the downside, here to the upside. And again, I want to place my bets on the bullish side because I'm already exposed to the market, mostly to the altcoin market, but we always need to know what Bitcoin is doing, not really take some leverage trades, but going spot into some altcoin positions. And if you also remember, here on my YouTube channel, we also talked about Bitcoin dominance and the fact that I wanted the Bitcoin dominance to be as high as possible, because when it starts the breakdown, here we are on a support for now. Maybe we have some relief, then continue down. Maybe we have some big move, something like this into September. And then this drop right here would signal also the end of the cycle amongst other indicators that we use here. But again, going to the 4-hour or maybe 8-hour chart, let's see if this one gives some signal. Exactly the same, meaning volatility is down for some days and the big move is incoming, and I want to place my bets that the big move next up is going higher from here. We have some stops, something like at the start of August, then some pause, and then we continue until September start. Another indicator that we can use is the Ichimoku cloud. Now, I don't like all these lines, so I'm just letting the baseline, no leading span A or B, just the Kumo cloud upper line and lower line, and I want to do different colors on them. You can see also on the 4-hour, let's see, this right here until maybe tomorrow, this is the 22nd of July, maybe tomorrow we have a big pivot, basically another constriction, and then we have what I like to call a stabilization. Again, I want to keep my bias bullish, and my base case remains that we go higher into August and also into the start of September. On the 8-hour chart, same exact thing. This is the pivot right here. We are in it, and next up is a period of stabilization, unless this pivot right here means we are actually trending down, and only from the next pivot, which is 27th of July, we go up again. Note here, I do not care if the price goes to 113. I also placed a long here, if maybe on the short term I am wrong. And in this kind of markets, if you are wrong, you need to place some bets to make money. But again, the next phase, in my opinion, is inevitable unless this time is different. What I mean by that is if you go and see the Bitcoin seasonality and also the Bitcoin to new all-time highs clips on my YouTube channel, you will understand that this period in the bull market happens only in the year after the halving year. Meaning the summer is not boring at all, and the end of July marks a bottom low pivot, and we rally always into the start of September, and then we go down again into September end. 2021 was this way, 2017 was the exact same way, 17 to 18 of July, then we rally 170% into September start, local top, down into September end. 2013, the same way. We have a big dump into the start of July on the 6th, and another one into July 18, and then we rally 74% until September start, then we dump again, and so on and so forth. Now, I want to check up also the S&P index because I'm basing my whole strategy going from the stock market, starting with the S&P, Fed rates, and if you remember the yields, and the yield curve, and the S&P index, which in my opinion could have some corrections through here, but should continue higher into September start. And you can see on the weekly chart with the Ichimoku cloud, September 15, there's another big pivot, and something should be happening in this window right here. Meaning, this is also agreeing with my thesis that the start of September should have a local top, and then maybe a bigger drop into the end of September. And if you saw my tweets about some specific dates, Bitcoin December 22nd to 29, and also Ethereum January 5 to 12. Where did I find these terrible calculations? Well, again, if you remember the Bitcoin dominance talk with the old season cycle finale YouTube clip of mine, you would remember that the Bitcoin dominance, in my opinion, should find its bottom something like January 2026 tops. And as we go farther and farther into this year, in my opinion, we are closer to the top than ever. So basically these dates, putting on the Ichimoku cloud, you can see here that on the weekly, we have a stabilization from August 4th into October and November start. But this is actually where I got my dates. This is the next big pivot. The cloud is starting to grow larger, something like this. And in my opinion, this could be the last chance to get out of the market. It doesn't mean really that this is the top. I'm not trying to find the perfect top. I sold some Bitcoin also at 104K, also at 70K. I'm just trying not to remain long in the market when this or something like this needs to happen, because it really needs to happen. Something like 10x over 3 years or maybe 12x does not come without another 70, maybe 80% drop. So what I'm trying to do is not write down all the gains I made by being long for 3 years into a 6-month period, because this is exactly how I think the next bear market should look. A 6-month period, first we have a big drop, then some chop, and then all is over again, and we should resume to another bull market. And this is where the window is starting for Bitcoin, in my opinion, 22nd of December. And for Ethereum, the next big pivot starts on January 5th. And I will check also the Bitcoin dominance to see until January where we are with the Bitcoin dominance. Maybe we are at my targets, something like 47 to 40%. I really don't know how low this could get. I'm just waiting to see what the market gives me. And if you remember from our last clips, I was beating the drum, not beating the myth, beating the drum that we should have exposure to ISO coins, starting with the XRP, the XDC chart, the IOTA chart, and also DeFi projects like my favorite ones, CVX, and also CRV that pumped very hard recently. Some of them already have some corrections on the board. But again, coming back to the topic, I think Bitcoin should trade much higher into next month and the start of September, where we should have another big drop. If we go to the monthly chart on the S&P index, the next pivot on the Ichimoku cloud should start on January 26, with the first stabilization starting April. If you remember the clips on this YouTube channel, this is actually my window of bottom, with Fed rates also bottoming out, and the next cycle should resume up into 2028, 2029, which is another Shemitah year, just like 2021 and 2022 was the last Shemitah year. If you don't understand what I'm saying, I'm deep diving into macros, individual charts, going into more detail about the QE that everyone is talking about, the DXY, the VIX, some specific altcoin charts. And it doesn't stop, meaning there's no destabilization in any band from the two until we hit October. Also figuring out some Ichimoku pivots, deep diving also into these ones. And you have here monthly market updates about everything actually in the market. I'm doing this work for the members. If you want to become one, check out the description, but I do not recommend joining if you are not already profitable in the market. You should never pay for any service until you have a system of your own that is already paying you and you want to step up your game. This is the only reason you should pay for a service from someone else, only if you want to level up. Again, reminder, go check all my clips. It will make more sense to understand my own view in the market, and maybe, just maybe, it helps you with yours. That's it for today, guys. Remember, bears are gay, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great week. Go prepare, stay sharp, and catch you in the next one. Bye.